The main Ljubljana bus station is sited just outside the railway station. Long distance and local buses run from here, and there's destinations throughout Europe and the rest of the former Yugoslavia. Now, the railway station itself dates from 1848 and was built for the arrival of the Austrian Southern Railway, which ran from Trieste to Vienna. The main building remains little changed externally since those days. Right, let's dodge the buses and the coaches and take a look inside. And the entrance hall is still enchanting. And to the left is the ticket hall, which I suspect was modernised in the 20th century. And I do love what they've done with the place. Now, my train today is train number 14 for Maribor, due to depart at 0800 from track number 8. Oh, and the floor here has a wonderful Ljubljana dragon. The cafe also includes another dragon. And stepping onto the platform, there's more departure boards, and they also include a map of where the tracks are. And as we go past, the cafe sign proclaims coffee is €1.60 and a beer is £3.20. Reasonable, if not cheap prices. Looking over here, I'm thinking this used to be the route to the tracks before they built the modern subway. But as there is a subway now, we will have to pop down to make our way to track 8. Now, not only is this subway for the station users, but it's also a very useful pedestrian route under the railway lines for everybody in the city. And as we pop up, on the neighbouring platform is a Class 312-0 unit. Slovenian Railways use these on commuter services around Ljubljana and Maribor. And some newer arrivals are those blue and white Stadler Kiss units. The platforms stretch well beyond the canopies, and it is indeed a pretty long walk to track 9 for sure. And I think these canopies, well, they definitely date from the old Yugoslav communist era. Oh, and we also get to see an old Class 363. Now, you can obviously tell that these were built in France in the 1970s. There's the workers over there, bang and crash, building the building. Here we are at Ljubljana, and after a lovely couple of days in the city, it's time to leave on my Interrail ticket, and now I'm going to be going up to Maribor, and I'm going to be using one of Slovenian Railways' flagship trains, the 3-car Pendolino. So it's going to be great, I hope. 3 cars seems very short for an express train like this, but I suppose they know what they're doing. There's just half a coach of first class. I have no reservation, so let's hope that we can get squeezed in. So going out of Ljubljana, the best views will be on the left, but then a little bit further on we pick up the Sava River, and then the best views will be on the right, and then we slowly curve around through Zidani Most and then up to Maribor. So probably, if it's busy, I will try to get a seat on the right for most of that Sava running. And if it's quiet, obviously I'll be able to hop from side to side. So the aim is to sit on the right, hopefully forward facing, but we'll see how we go. Indeed, we'll see how we go. And here's our Class 310 Pendolino completing its inbound working from Maribor. Well, it looks pretty good in the SZ blue and white, even though it's now 24 years old. Climbing up the steps and into first class, I need not have worried about getting a seat. There's a lot of them, and I must say, looking at the seats, they seem pretty good. Underneath the funky extending tables is a European plug socket. And under the retractable armrest is some of the old electronics for the long-gone onboard entertainment system. There's a small luggage rack above with integrated reading lights. But the poshest thing on offer is the electrically operated blinds. There's also a bin integrated into the table, and the seats have a decent recline with luggage space behind them too. And we get away about 4 minutes late. I honestly thought there would be more business people here in First, as I would have expected it to be a popular time to travel on a Monday morning. And we also get a good locomotive show as we leave the station, and then we're off out of the city. Beyond Zalog station we cross the Ljubljana and then track it down to the Sava. And it's about at this time that the young steward comes to offer us our free drink, and I foolishly ask for some of his coffee. Well, progress isn't all that quick, but the Sava Valley looks pretty neat this morning. And like many of the older Pendolinos, the tilt is really noticeable. I suspect it's actually enough to make some people feel a bit queasy, but I really like it. As it's now well into spring, the foliage blocks some of the views of the water, but it still remains a delightful setting for a train ride. Honestly, that was really foul coffee, but at least it's gone now and I can put the cup in the bin. And we lose another 5 minutes here, and I think it's because there's a short section of single track due to the engineering works ahead. Still, we eventually get going and are soon back beside the Sava, even though progress is a little slow. Just before Litia, we cross the river to join the left, or north bank of the river for the run to Zidani Most. You know, I've no problem swapping seats. And there's yet more work being done here. It certainly reflects that there's a lot of investment going into this line. You know, I think it's time to just kick back and enjoy the run by the river down to Zidani Most. And we arrive at the evocative junction at Zidani Most, where the lines meet from Ljubljana, Maribor and Zagreb, a truly international meeting of the ways. Well, we might not have seen many river views if we'd been stuck behind that lettering on this Desiro. Why on earth do railway companies do this to their passengers? I really don't know. So the line for Zagreb turns to the right, whilst we go over the river and then left on the line to Maribor, Graz and eventually Vienna. And it's time for a new river to partner with all the way up to Celje. The reason that these Pendolinos run this route is that not only do they start and end at the two largest cities in Slovenia, they also pass through Celje, which is the third largest. Hence this is really a high traffic line in the country, and why, I suppose, so much effort has been and is being exerted to bring the line up to modern standards. And once again on this section, the route is a little challenging and the Pendolino makes full use of its tilting technology. At Lashko we cross the river and this section becomes no less beautiful than that previous run beside the Sava. And as we pull into Celje, we pass what I think is the late-running EC158 on its way from Zagreb to Graz. Oh, and I'm loving the signal boxes on this line. Isn't that one a beauty? Right, it's time for us to peel off east for a bit before we find a way north to Maribor. Blimey, it's very quiet in first class now. This really is such a smooth and quiet train. There's really a complete absence of rattles and creaks, and the ride quality is still superb. Oh, and the old seats continue to be really lovely to sink right into. Grabelno is where the line finally turns away from the river to head northwards. We seem to be crawling along again, but it all makes sense at Ponikva when we pass the works around the station. But of course that means we've now got some freshly laid track to enjoy. And finally our Pendolino gets a chance to really stretch its legs as we enter the final sections to Maribor, where the line speed is a heady 160 km per hour. But we have to slow down for Pragersko. Pragersko is a junction station, and sat over on platform 3 is the connecting eastbound service to Murska Sobota. Now we've only just managed to make that connection as the Pendolino is now running fully 17 minutes late. And there goes that eastbound line, but we're going to continue going north. Pragersko is also a triangle junction, so here's the other line coming in from the east. You know, there really has been a lot of money spent here recently. And that really helps for the final dead straight sprint for home. Although, it is actually great to slow down to enjoy one more grimy Class 664 diesel. Well, the last time I saw the River Drava was a couple of days earlier, when my train was running down the bank on its way to Villach. And now we meet again, and my, how big you've grown. And here we are into Maribor, fully 23 minutes late. And with that late running train for Graz following behind, I think everything has fallen into place rather nicely. And we're into Maribor at about 10:18, and I was due to catch the 10:20 to Graz, and was a bit worried I might miss that, but actually that train's running 8 minutes late, so I can make my change and poodle up to Graz. I hope you enjoyed that little ride on the Pendolino. I thought it was an excellent train. It was very much of that style of all the Pendolinos, similar, like the Super City one at České dráhy, The seats were really comfortable and the train was really quiet. The tilt worked a treat and got through lots of the corners, and yeah, it's a really good train to provide this kind of highlight service between the two main cities of Slovenia. So as Johnny sorts out his next train, I'd just like to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you back on this channel soon with another trip report.